Fit to Love, episode 28, Why Your Exercise Isn't Working.
Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flizanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Thoughtful Thursdays. Today's show, Why Your Exercise Isn't Working. This is show number 28, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying the Fit to Love podcast show. Every week, we have different topics that address some of the same similar issues, just with deeper content, more specific content, experts who can share their tips and practices that can help you overcome whatever it is you're dealing with to get to the desired results that you want to. And obviously, one of my expertise is exercise and creating effective and efficient exercise programs for both the clients that I work with in person, the clients that I work with over Skype, and then helping to build programs for groups of people that I speak in front of or help on a phone coaching session. And there are four main categories that I've realized over time that people get stuck in. The first idea that we need to overcome is that all exercise is not equal. Think back to either a doctor telling you, or maybe you heard someone else's advice that, someone told them or a doctor told them, just exercise more. Well, stop and think for a second. If I said that to you, I just think you need to exercise more. Do you know what to do with that information? Do you know specifically what to do with that information? It's like telling you to go shopping. If I just said, I would like you to go shopping, what does that mean? That brings up several questions. What kind of shopping? So let's say you're shopping for a dress. The next question would be, what's the dress for? Is it a formal event? It is a casual event. Is it a cocktail dress? It is an evening gown. And then the next question after that would be what time of year it is. Is it something that I need long sleeves or short sleeves? Is it going to be hot or is it going to be cool? So all of these questions are natural to come up after someone gives you a very general recommendation. Exercise more. To me, that means nothing. It means nothing because it doesn't tell me anything about how you'd like me to exercise and why I'm even exercising in the first place. So the first reason why most people have an issue with exercise not working for them is because they haven't created a specific strategy. The strategy is that plan, and for everyone, it's going to be different. For some people, it's going to mean working out at home on your own from anywhere from 10 minutes to a half an hour or even an hour, once or twice a week. For some people, it's going to mean going to the gym to a class 3 to 4 times a week. For some people, it's going to be focused on building muscle and doing strength training only. And for some people, it's going to be working on balance and stability and activating muscle tissue so that you have a stronger base of support from which to build from, because maybe there's some injuries. And for a whole bunch of people who maybe have some weight loss concerns, who are finding that they're very out of shape and haven't done any physical activity for a long time, maybe that recommendation is just to start walking. So some light to moderate intensity cardiovascular work is going to be that recommendation. So as you see, each different person, the goals, the scenario, all of the details from person to person is really going to give us some more feedback as to what kind of plan, what's the strategy to getting you efficient and effective exercise. Now, I say efficient and effective because for the next few reasons, you can choose exercise. So let's just take walking. Someone who's very out of shape, hasn't done anything for a long time, wants to lose a bunch of weight, and just wants to start doing something. Walking is easy. It doesn't cost you anything. You can walk outside of your own house. You probably can walk somewhere around work. You could walk at the gym. You can walk on a treadmill. You can walk on the beach. There's many different options for walking. You can walk around the block. You can walk it up and down your driveway. Walking can be something that most people can buy into because we're doing it anyway. We're doing some amount of walking, whether it's from our house to our car, from our car to a store, from our car to our workplace. There are many positive things about walk. But let's say you're that person and you start out and you've been walking for 3 or 4 days and it's getting easier and easier and you're able to add a little bit more time and maybe you're increasing your pace and you're comfortable. It feels good, it feels easy and doable, and now you're sustaining it. You're doing it 2 to 3 times a week for 15 to 30 minutes. And after 3 to 4 weeks, you're seeing a dramatic change in both your energy level and your body. You feel tighter. Maybe you've lost some weight. You feel more agile. Your blood flow is pumping and your circulation has increased and your oxygen has increased. You're more alert. So you're having all of these great things happen from adding walking to your weekly routine of some kind of exercise. Now, depending on where you're starting from, will determine how quickly you adjust and adapt. The key word here is adapt. When you go from one level, let's say that person was a 0 and we're moving to a 2. Maybe 2 was that 2 to 3 times a week and you're not walking fast, you're just moving. But the fact that you're moving is a little more intense than sitting on the couch or sitting on a chair or lying in bed. So all of a sudden, there's this gap between where you were and where you are now of intensity, and that's going to have some physical change. So once you lose a little bit of weight, you feel more agile, now you're doing the same exact pace and the same exact route and the same number of days. After, let's say, probably anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, you're going to start to plateau. Now, at the same time, of course, your food and what you're eating is going to make a huge impact on the scale and on your results and on how you feel. In fact, of course, you could change your diet without exercise and get great results for weight loss, for energy level, for sleeping, for joint pains. A lot of that can be alleviated through proper diet and through eliminating inflammatory things in your diet. Let's just put food aside for a second and just deal with exercise. If you do not change anything about the way that you currently are eating, and all of a sudden you add exercise, let's add this walking, you're going to have some kind of results. It may not be a huge amount of weight loss, but it might be a few pounds. And then after a while, it's going to stop because your body has adapted to the next level. So what do? This is where most people get frustrated because they think, well, I'm going to walk more. And that's fine. That is one option. Walking more. So if you're doing 2 to 3 times a week at 15 to 30 minutes, and now you're going to do 3 to 4 times a week at 15 to 30 minutes. And you're probably going to show some more results because you've added another day or 2 to your weekly routine. Okay, so after you get a couple more pounds off, you're feeling again even better, you're sleeping great, you're more mobile. Another 4 weeks go by and you haven't lost any more weight. This is, of course, considering that you haven't changed your diet. So you haven't changed your diet. Now what? Well, now you look at your schedule and you say, well, I could do 4 to 5 days a week. Now, you see, we've only used one part of the equation that I use, which is called the FIT principle, and that's frequency. We've only been changing the frequency, but I find that with most people, that's what they think they need to do is change the frequency. So, of course, if your schedule doesn't allow for 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 days a week of exercise, which I honestly wouldn't even recommend 7 days of exercise, I wouldn't even recommend 6 days of exercise. Because when your lifestyle changes, you go on a vacation or you get the flu or someone needs you to help them move or a family member needs some help or there's some celebration happening, I like to keep programs realistic. So right now, the idea of adaptation is that once your body adapts to that exercise routine that you're doing, whatever it may be, there's going to be a need for a more intense program. And it doesn't have to just be with frequency. There are other aspects you can change. In this podcast, we do not have time to go over that entire equation, but if you go to jjflizanes.com, in the video section, I've got a whole hour and probably 20 minutes or an hour and 30-minute presentation thoroughly explaining this entire process. So if you have an hour to watch the video, take a piece of paper and you can start to design your own exercise program from wherever you are right now. And it even gives you the equation of how to change it. So again, that's jjflizanes.com, and it's about, I would say, an hour to 90 minutes, a little bit less, I think, because there's an introduction to me, and then there might be questions you can fast forward through. But it's a great video if this is of interest to you and you want some more specific help right now. So strategy was the first thing. The people don't start out having a clear strategy that addresses what their goals are, their lifestyle, what they have access to, their budget. That's all very important to setting yourself up to win. The second that came up during the example of the walking was the plateau and adjusting the levels. So do you recognize when you're at a plateau, or do you just attribute it to food? Logging and writing things down when it comes to your exercise is a great way just to track how it's working. So the third point about why your exercise is not working for you has to do with that plateau, and it's considered your threshold. When it comes to resistance training or even cardiovascular, as you're building your fitness level, people tend to push themselves in a safe and effective way only to the very start of their threshold. For athletes, it's not a problem. Athletes know how to push themselves beyond their threshold. Sometimes it can be healthy if you have good form and you're mindful of your exercise, and sometimes that threshold gets pushed too far and then that results in injury or dysfunction in your joint. But for the average exerciser who isn't an athlete or who was a weekend warrior or school athlete, you understand the idea of working hard. The way that you want to program both your resistance training and your cardiovascular work is just to sort of find whatever that threshold is for you and get slightly uncomfortable. Push yourself to the place where you're slightly uncomfortable, but you still have control and you still have good form. There's a physical burning sensation when it comes to resistance training. There's maybe a heart rate level and the ability to not necessarily have full sentences when you're doing cardiovascular work. Whatever that threshold is for you, you want to cross it, because without crossing it, you haven't signaled for the body to adapt. If my body is strong enough to do the work I'm doing right now, then there's no reason for it to change. So if your exercise isn't taking you to the next level, now that's only when you plateau. You can absolutely find a comfortable level of intensity in whatever you're doing as long as you're getting results. And that's why I recommend tracking your exercise and tracking your results, not every day, but maybe you're tracking your exercise, but I'm not talking about getting on the scale every day. I'm talking about paying attention to how you feel, maybe journaling or taking some measurements every so often. So that way you can really have an understanding of how your body is accepting and therefore responding to the exercise. So the threshold is a big thing, because for some people who have never been athletic, they feel that might be dangerous, and you might need to work up to crossing your threshold and trusting that you have good form and that the weight's not going to fall and that you're not going to spasm or whatever the fear might be in crossing that threshold. And again, learning to be comfortable in a slight discomfort is absolutely part of the learning process when you're either incorporating exercise or transforming your body, or in, of course, any sport. Anyone that's played sports has known that you have to take your body to a level that is beyond your comfort zone. So keep that in mind. And when I say threshold, I definitely don't mean doing things that are dangerous. That would definitely not be what I would consider smart exercise. If you don't have control of your joints, if you're not clear and understanding about what motions you're making, what muscles you're using. In fact, we did some Movement Monday videos that are going to be coming out here shortly in the next couple of weeks that have to do with understanding how to contract your muscles, understanding how to move them, the fact that all muscles pull and no muscle pushes, and how much more effective you can be and get more results by using your brain to actually help you activate more muscle tissue. You'll get stronger, you'll get leaner, you'll get faster, you'll be more connected, you'll have less injury, and you'll get better results when you add mindfulness and awareness and a little bit deeper understanding to the exercise that you're doing. So we first had strategy. The second we had was plateaus and adjusting the level when you've hit a plateau and being aware when you've hit a plateau. And then the third was that threshold. It's so important. When I was working in New York City, I'll never forget, it was one of the first 2 years I was training. And of course, when you're that green, whatever your client says to you, you just go, oh, okay. You're very careful. At least I was very careful because I saw too many injuries happening around me. I saw a lot of bad form. I still see a lot of bad form from colleagues of mine who I see on videos. But people usually don't pay attention to form until they get injured. So if you're like me and you can say to yourself, I'm currently joint and pain free and I'd like to stay that way, and I'm going to take consideration in keeping my body that way, then you're going to want to add all these things in now. If you're the person that thinks, what she's talking about doesn't apply to me, it's not that important, then after you get injured or you start to have degeneration in your joints, come on back and watch some of those suggested videos that I told you about, because we're all degenerating. It's part of aging. You're the car, and the car's got one set of brakes and one set of tires. And once you wear those down, that's it. You can't be changing out your tires and your brakes. Yes, you can have joint replacement, but really that's not a goal I don't think people really want to have, is to just say, okay, well, I'm going to abuse my body now so that later I'll just get a joint replacement. Because remember, when you cut into muscle, it's never the same. Your strength profile decreases immensely, while you can still use other muscles and you can still heal that tissue. Once you sever its neurological connection to your brain, your strength capabilities will decrease. Promised. So we have one more, although it's two-part, one more reason why your exercise isn't working for you. But before we get to that, I do need to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Get the hottest tips and latest trends for your business success with today's Innovative Woman magazine, a free print and online digital magazine. Plus, receive the special bonus video series, Platforms for Profit, the must-have marketing essentials for outrageous success, taught by media and marketing strategist Kathy Alessandra. Who is today's innovative woman? She's a smart and savvy business owner. She is driven and committed to success. She invests in herself and her business on everything from products to grow her knowledge, services to grow her business, and events to learn and connect with potential clients and customers. You can claim your free subscription today and get it mailed to your home or office at today'sinnovativewoman.com. If you are like most people who struggle with overeating, you may feel powerless over your habits and urges to eat. Powerless over what and how much you eat. Break the vicious cycle of emotional eating and take back your power over food with Dr. Lisa Gelper. Dr. Lisa Gelper has helped thousands discover their own power over food and help them to win freedom from the obsession and defeat that haunt yo-yo dieters, emotional eaters, and those who just hope to lose some weight. Visit her site at poweroverfood.com to read her articles, watch her videos, sign up for her monthly email tips, and check out her current classes. Again, that's poweroverfood.com. Okay, let's review one more time. So the reason why your exercise is not working for you, number one, is because you probably don't have a strategy that's personalized and specific to you. Number two, you've hit a plateau and you're not really aware of it and you don't know what to do about it. And the options that you consider doing, which is adding more days of exercise, feels too hard or is not really possible, and you don't have any other options or tools that you can work with in order to overcome that plateau. Number three, your threshold. You are not used to crossing it or even matching it or coming close to it because you haven't experienced that before. So if you're not a former athlete and have never played sports before, it's understandable. It's not something you're used to. So working with and understanding what that threshold is important for you to cross it, to stimulate more bodily changes. Because remember, if your exercise is easy enough that your body can do it well, like really well, comfortably, then there's no reason for it to get stronger. There's no reason for it to get rid of any more weight. There's no reason for anything else to happen because you're already good at it. So the fourth and final reason why your exercise is not working for you is two-part. The first one is measurements. So are you measuring? Are you tracking? Have you taken your body fat percentage? Do you know what it is? Have you remeasured it to see if you've lost fat but maintained or gained muscle? Have you done circumference to measure the girth of your waist, your hips, your thighs, your arms, your neck? Do you know if you're getting larger or getting smaller? Because for a lot of people, the only number they're looking at is on the scale. And I'm here to tell you that the number on the scale does not give you the full picture. You can, in fact, I had a client years ago who was not very motivated to do exercise on her own. And so I saw her 1 to 2 times a week for about 6 months. And in that 6-month period, we did the test at the beginning, and then around 6 months, she felt like she was lighter, but she said the scale kept saying the same number. So we retested her. And when I'm with her, we were just doing resistance training. When she was on her own, occasionally, she'd walk the golf course. She might do an elliptical trainer. She might take a walk, but it wasn't consistent and it wasn't intense. So after about 6 months, and I was doing, again, 1 to 2 times a week of resistance training with her with occasional cardio in there and really not being very specific about a diet plan or following one because she was very social and they had golf outings and dinners with friends and multiple houses and they spent the weekend somewhere else. So we did the measurements of her weight, her circumference, and therefore her body fat. And what we found was she lost 3 inches around her waist and 3% body fat. So at least we knew that in that 6 months, while the scale was the same, she lost fat, gained muscle, lost 3% body fat, and 3 inches around her waist, which is why some of her clothes were feeling better. So if you're doing just the scale, it's not the whole picture. And again, you're kind of giving yourself over to that idea that a number is going to define you. I tell my clients, don't get on the scale unless you feel amazing. Because if you already feel good, then the number is not going to matter. You feel good, you feel lighter, you feel tighter, and then you get on the scale. And then if the number isn't lower, or even if the number is higher, the next question is to take your body fat. I did this recently in the last couple of months because if you've been watching any of the Tasty Tuesdays, you see how much butter and coconut oil I've been using. There are huge health benefits for coconut oil and butter, and I've actually been losing fat. I haven't been losing weight, but I've been losing fat. I felt amazing. I got on the scale after, a couple months, and the number was a pound or 2 higher than it was. And I thought, well, that's interesting because I look better. I feel better. And then once I did some measurements, I found that I actually had gained muscle and I lost some fat. So that was really cool. So it changes your emotional response when you're tracking these measurements and you're not weighing yourself every day and you're not giving your power away to the scale by wondering how you're going to feel today based on the number on the scale. So I'd recommend when you measure that you measure once at the beginning of a program and then every 6 to 8 weeks after that. And only when you feel great. If you're feeling bad and you're thinking that the number on the scale is going to motivate you to do more or take action, it probably won't, because that's often used to shame ourselves. We shame ourselves on the scale and then we feel bad. And feeling badly doesn't motivate you to do more. You want to congratulate yourself. You want to acknowledge yourself for the things that you're doing to keep yourself healthy. So measurement is definitely a big deal, and what's attached to measurements also accountability. So that's why they're together in step 4 of why your exercise isn't working for you, because a lot of times you're not clear about what to measure and you're not clear where to measure, so you might need some help with that. Having accountability, working with someone like me or someone like any of the people who've been on my program or well-qualified trainers and physical therapists who are out there, someone and coaches, someone to keep you accountable. There is huge power in knowing that someone else is looking at your program. And it's not because we want you to do these things for us. It's not about my approval of you. It's about your approval of you. But sometimes you just need that little push to start noticing and being accountable both to yourself as well as to someone else on doing what you said you wanted to do. Changing habits can sometimes be harder than you think, especially when you don't have any accountability. Einstein said that you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. So while I think it's noble to take on your whole program and say, I'm going to do this myself, and I think that for some people that works to a certain degree, there comes a point in time with what you know and what you've done and how you do it has a limitation to just your experience. And having the experience of someone who has more experience than you and working with them can absolutely, even if just once a month. You've all heard me talk about the client. I have several clients in Arizona, but one in particular who works with Dr. Lisa Gelper. She's lost over 100 pounds in 3 years, only working out 2 times a week. But she's used both Dr. Lisa and myself for accountability. And she's made some great and amazing transformations in her life and in her body and the way that she does things, the way that she eats, how she works out. But she maintains accountability with the two of us in order to keep that going. So if you've tried it in the past and you've said to yourself, well, I can do this, it's about me, it's about the willpower that I bring to it, give yourself some slack and realize that you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. So having some extra feedback, having that accountability, put out that commitment. What happens when you get accountability is that you're basically telling yourself that you're worth it. You are worth having some expert advice on helping you to hold the space for your body to change, for the exercise to work, for choosing the things that are going to be the most efficient and most effective for you. I hope you enjoyed today's show. There are plenty of other shows that help to address some of the same issues and topics. Last week's Thoughtful Thursdays is the top limited beliefs about exercise. So I invite you that if you haven't heard that yet, go back and listen to that before getting ready to start a new and improved exercise program. So I hope you subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hear some feedback. Come on over to the site, fittolove.tv, and let me know what you thought. Have a great day. Do you want to learn more about your hormone health and how to get it properly tested? Then sign up for our Healthy Hormone Kit at nourishingwellness.com. This kit features healthy eating and lifestyle tips to help you heal your hormones naturally. Want up-to-date recipes, product reviews, exercises, and mental stimulation? Find step-by-step articles from top-notch experts on invisiblefitness.com/blog. The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly video casts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT2LOVE.tv. Have a fit and fabulous day.